Words Appear, a Lens 15 media production.
Sometimes a disaster can be a turning point.
Trees bend in the wind, lightning flashes.
That's what happened in Odisha, eastern India in 1999 following a devastating tropical cyclone. Around 10,000 people died.
Windows break apart.
After that, the state implemented an emergency response system that has been emulated across the country. I wanted to know how people with a disability factor in. Somehow, I received a multi-country Fulbright research grant to carry out this project. I even have the t-shirt and thermos to prove it.
The word Fulbright adorns a blue t-shirt and white thermos.
So in early 2023, I arrived in Bhubaneswar, the state capital, for a 3-month stint. I learned from disability advocates how in the wake of that '99 storm, they pushed for disability inclusion in disaster risk reduction policy.
You've taken me to the middle of nowhere. Where are we?
We are in a village, typical village of Odisha. Its name is Naruda.
And now, vulnerable populations, including people with a disability, are prioritized during evacuations.
2 men walk hand in hand down a wooded pathway.
And that's essential, as environmental scientists told me, because Odisha is the state most impacted by climate change. It's right on the Bay of Bengal and has India's longest coastline. So while the policy looks good on paper, I wanted to see it in action. The problem was, I arrived a few months ahead of cyclone season, so I probably wouldn't get to experience one firsthand. Don't get me wrong, that's a good thing for everyone. But I needed to speak with people who have. So my research assistant, Debashis Maharana, and I hit the road.
Jason approaches a motorcycle and puts on a helmet.
We visited the state's disaster command center, toured accessible cyclone shelters, and spoke with people who were safely evacuated ahead of a storm, just like the policy is supposed to work. But then we met people who fell through the cracks and had to fend for themselves. And I'm sure it doesn't help that no one with a disability sits at the disaster policymaking table here. I thought I had enough to go on. It was time to start filming.
Jason and another man walk on the beach.
My collaborator for this production was filmmaker Snehasis Das and his team at The Naked Eye. We met in coastal Puri, where in 2019, Cyclone Fani, one of the strongest storms in decades, made landfall. And everyone we spoke with here had a story about that day. But my work in Odisha wasn't over yet. 2 months later, I came back to film annual cyclone evacuation drills and get those action shots.
First responders run with a stretcher, others push a man in a wheelchair. Credits: Jason Strother, director. Audio description by Lens 15 Media and read by Keela Giblin. With support from the Institute for International Education and the U.S. Consulate General, Hyderabad.